Good evening. This is CTV News for Monday, December 10th. I'm Patricia Vallone. Glad to have you with us tonight. Well, this weekend, a Prince George's homicide detective happened to be at the right place at the right time. The investigators stumbled upon an attack that could have turned deadly. CTV's Makia Turner is standing by in Palmer Park with details.
Just minutes after a Prince George's homicide detective got off work late Saturday evening, he heard wailing, rolled down his windows, and drove along this road, which is the 7600 block of Allendale Drive. And that's where he saw a man being brutally beaten with a shovel.
I was leaving work. I usually leave out this door over here. And I was going to my car to head home when I heard a wailing noise. And I decided to look into what it was. I got in my car, rolled down the windows, followed the noise, and when I came around this corner right here, a little farther up from the fence where you can't see, there was a male standing above another male holding a shovel in the air and went down and struck him in the head as he was laying flat on his back, incapacitated. He went to go do it again. As I was getting out of my car, I pulled out my weapon, gave him a command to drop the shovel. He actually complied, got him proned out, and called for backup, got the victim medical assistance, and he was taken to the Prince George's Hospital Center, where, from what I understand, he's doing better, and that's it.
Did you find out the motive in this case?
It had something to do with money. I know the investigators in District 3 are still investigating the incident.
Now, the 48-year-old suspect, who's just been identified as David Hamilton, remains behind bars in Upper Marlboro and is being charged with first-degree assault. Meanwhile, his victim remains in the hospital and is expected to survive. I'm Makia Turner, CTV News.
And police are still investigating the case. Meantime, Prince George's police are looking for a second suspect in connection with the murder of a 14-year-old boy in Lewisdale last week. A warrant is out for the arrest of 18-year-old Luis Guzman Ventura, who faces first-degree murder and related charges in the shooting death of Eliezer Reyes. Reyes was killed in a drive-by shooting while walking along the 2200 block of Sheraton Street. Police have already arrested 24-year-old Jose Rodriguez Nunez of Hyattsville, who faces second-degree murder charges in the case. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Guzman Ventura is asked to contact Crime Solvers. That number is 1-866-411-TIPS. Meanwhile, the Reyes murder investigation is ongoing, and detectives believe it may be gang-related. This weekend, Prince George's police increased patrol in the Lewisdale area to prevent any possible retaliation from rival groups. CTV spoke with one local resident who wishes to remain anonymous about the death of the 14-year-old boy and his thoughts on gang violence in the area.
I believe he was my sister's. My sister goes to the same school. He knew him. She told me like 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. I didn't even know that guy, but it's sad how they killed him. She was sad. She was even crying. I didn't even know that guy, so she knew him. She was crying. When you're a part of a gang, you don't know today you might be alive. You don't know if you're gonna make it to tomorrow. It's really sad.
And police say it's still unclear as to whether or not Reyes was the intended target. Well, if you've ever wondered whether college is the right choice for you or not, you're not alone. The issue was debated at the University of Maryland today. Washington Post columnist Robert Samuelson argues people leave higher education with too much debt, and the dropout rate continues to be high. Nevertheless, the chancellor of the university system says the benefits still outweigh the drawbacks.
There's no question, all the data show that a college degree leads to better jobs, higher incomes, lower unemployment, better health. So, you know, the notion that we just want to put sort of a cap on college degrees is, I think, not only harmful to our country, but it's basically destructive of our society.
One of the arguments I'm making is that this standard of college for everybody essentially brands many high school students who don't go on to college and don't want to go on to college as failures, and that we really need to reorient the high school experience more towards these students, to connect them more with the job market, to make their schooling, their education, high school, seem more relevant to them and to their futures.
And Samuelson's column appeared in the Washington Post last spring. Well, a new survey shows that some of the private university presidents from around the region rank among a group of the 36 highest paid in the country. It found that Stephen Knapp of George Washington University earns about $1.17 million. The highest paid leaders in Virginia were at the University of Richmond and Washington and Lee. Also, the head of St. John's College in Annapolis, Christopher Nelson, takes home about $585,000. The survey was done by the Chronicle of Higher Education and looked at tax records, salary, and benefits for 2010.